Welcome to another episode of The Couch Coach. You're about to watch a real, one-on-one coaching call with me and an Ivy Industry member, which is part of our efforts to help flippers unlock their flipping potential. Ivy Industry blends a weekly mastermind with personalized sessions like this so that flippers can get the tailored guidance they need to reach the next level. If you're curious or interested, just click on the Ivy Industry link below and start your application today. I'll see you on the other side.
Don't really have anything noted down here just yet, but I guess just kind of go over my numbers and whatnot and see if you have any recommendations.
Okay, perfect. Open up your account.
And then how long are these 15-minute calls?
We have until the end of the hour.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. So how would you describe, like, if you were to, before we look at the numbers, give me a general sense of how you think things are going? How would you describe that?
Currently, I think pickups are going pretty well. I've been getting a decent amount of pickups from Google Ads, which has helped out.
Mm-hmm.
And sales, on the other hand, have been a little slow, I would say. Only 3 sales so far this month. And I would also like to onboard another couch cleaner, and I think that would be a good help. So that's kind of my focus point right now. So yeah.
Okay, let's look at September. September, 7,000 sales, cost of goods 2,100, expenses 3.3. What is Text Magic?
So that is a texting platform that we use to send out a text whenever a drop goes live from our Facebook group.
And then you have John Cartier. That's a assistant or of some sort.
Yeah, so I list out all of the employees' names just so I can track how much I'm paying each particular employee. That's someone who helps with like carrying in the couch upon deliveries.
Got it. August here. You just started inputting expenses here, or like tracking things. So we only have data for September, is what I'm getting.
Yeah, September was the first month.
Okay, and were you tracking this beforehand?
Yes, but it was on a Google sheet. It was actually the sheet you guys offered when I originally signed up for Ivy Flip.
Got it. So how did September compare to your average month? Is that pretty common? Like the numbers that you did in September compared to your other months?
Fairly common, yeah. I mean, maybe died a few more flips, but I guess that would be my average. In August, I believe we did 23 flips.
Okay. Actually, why don't you share a screen and pull up that spreadsheet?
Okay.
Let's take a look together, because if we have more data, I'd like to kind of get like a sense of at least how the last 3 months have been.
Okay.
And you're in Missouri?
Yes.
Okay.
And
like St. Louis?
Yeah, St. Louis, but we just moved to a city a little further out from St. Louis. It's Pacific, Missouri, and that was just this past week. We just got a warehouse out there. Originally, we were closer to St. Louis at a storage facility with lockers.
Got it. Okay. Let's take a look here. Okay. I mean, so some months very strong, like March, August, pretty solid. September, a little bit quiet. Well, September, you stopped using this tracker and transitioned to the other tracker, right?
Yeah, this wouldn't be accurate. The one on Ivy Flip is, though.
So, I mean, what it appears here is like you have like a fairly high amount of fixed expenses each month. And so if you're going to be profitable, you need to cover your fixed expenses. And then, that probably happens at around, I don't know, 10 flips, something like that.
Yeah.
7 to 10 flips. And then everything above 7 to 10 flips is where you start to make your profits. Because it's pretty straightforward. Like if you look at the months where you have more flips, you're making more gross sales. And that's also where your net profits are higher. So my only concern for you when I look at the number of flips you're doing is that your expenses seem kind of high relative to how much you're flipping.
Yeah.
So let's go through the expenses here. Like gas and tolls, okay, storage, okay. It's gonna be hard to avoid that. Website online, what is that? That's the cost of your website?
That's like everything. Yeah, everything online. So my website, I have a subscription for Zapier and just like a few other things that kind of operate my website or that has to do with online advertising.
Got it. So last month you put out 303 for your V, 280 for John, 100 for Adrian, 13 for Charlie. So you spent $700 on help. And then like with your software subscriptions and everything, the money you're spending on your website and ads, that's another 400 plus 179, 66 plus 92. So almost 2,000 on help and tech. So if we were to take your gross profit of 5,000 and then bring your expenses down. So if you hadn't spent money on help or like tech software ads, your profit margin last month would have been 70% instead of 24%. So the reason I highlight this is when I look at most flipper spreadsheets that are doing like sales, they're doing around the same amount of flips that you're doing, operate much closer to a 70% net margin. So in a way, like the thing I can tell you right out of the gate is you may have over-engineered the business a little. So you're investing in systems that presumably help you scale, but you don't have the scale to support it.
Right.
So I would ask yourself, like, do you think everything that you're investing in is necessary for you to get to 15 flips a month?
Well,
Or could you conceivably be doing 15 flips a month without with all the help and without all the tech?
Well, I mean, the reason why I'm investing in all of that stuff is so I can scale my flips higher and reach, my goal is 20 flips and beyond every month consistently.
Mhm.
And I think if I were to hit that, it would cover the expenses. Like you said, once I break about 10 flips per month, then everything would be profit after that.
Mhm.
So I guess I'm just trying to invest so that I can reach a higher amount of flips per month.
I get it. I get the rationale, but I think you may have put cart before horse here. So what you like the best way to do it is figure out how you can get to 20. Let me put it this way. If you're going to the gym, if you're just starting to work out, right? You don't start by doing steroids, right? Like you start by going to the gym every day. And then as you go to the gym every day, maybe at first you're doing, 3 different exercises for 3 sets. And then as you get more advanced and you want more results, you like add in another exercise per day. And then when you start to see a plateau in the results that you're getting, you can progress the techniques and the tools that you're using to improve your weight training. So or it's I don't know, do you have any hobbies? Like any sports or things that you like to do?
I kickbox.
Okay, kickboxing. I don't know that much about kickboxing, but I imagine there are some people, they don't spend that much time in the gym, but they have all the best gear.
Right.
And then you put that guy who's undertrained in the gym against someone who has really shitty gear, but is just really consistent and disciplined with his training, who's going to come out ahead?
Yeah, obviously the second guy.
Yeah. So, it's very plain to see in other areas of our life where you have to put in the work first before you try to get the improvements and the upgrades. And, you're not the first person I've spoken to that's had this problem. I remember talking to this one guy out in Houston. He had this super elaborate VA outsourcing system with multiple spreadsheets, and he had 50 different metrics he's tracking. And at the end of it, he had done 15 flips a month. And I'm like, I think you're maybe spending too much time in the spreadsheets and getting away from the core of what actually makes this business run. And so that's where to go from here, right? The first thing that jumps out to me about your numbers is for, having looked at many of these P&L statements for flippers, that you're not as profitable as you should be. And there are line items on your expenses that you could probably eliminate $700, $800 worth of spend, even $1,000 worth of spend. It's not going to have a significant impact on your operation, but it immediately makes you more profitable. And so if you're doing around 15 flips a month as a solo flipper, you really should be at around 60, 70% net margin. When I see people operating at a 24% net margin, they've scaled up much bigger. And so at 24%, maybe they're doing $30,000 a month consistently.
So when you say put in the work before you kind of elaborate on a bunch of different complex systems, what would you say is an example of doing the work?
And look, I'm not saying that you're not working hard or keeping busy. What this does indicate to me is that you're probably not that efficient, that you're spending time on stuff that is not the core revenue generating activity of the business. And so what do you need to focus in on? Getting to the best deals, having good selection of inventory, making sure that once you pick things up that they're listed quickly, always having at least 5, if not 10 listings up for sale on Facebook Marketplace, always having high amount of pieces listed, making sure that your listings are quality, good titles, good descriptions, good photography. You could do that on your own, 15 flips a month, not a lot of bells and whistles. Let's say you're at 15 flips a month consistently, and look, you already are. You're doing over 15 flips a month consistently, right? Except for last month. Let's say it's 20. And at 20, maybe you need a little bit of help too, right? Someone helps you do cleaning, someone helps you do delivery, but it's not a whole lot of help. I don't think you need a VA probably. Yeah, you probably don't need a VA. You probably don't need the text magic thing. At that scale, you could probably be saving that $400 a month and sending out whatever text messages you need to manually.
Yeah, that was my next question would be, what expenses could I remove? But you just said it there. I think I can definitely remove the text magic.
Yeah. I don't know if you need to be spending money on ads. I don't know if you need whatever integrate. I don't know if you even need a website at this moment. It's you already have it, I don't know if you need Zapier, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
These are all things that are helpful to you as you scale. But right now they're things that you're spending money on that are probably not helping you make money, right? How many sales do you make on your website today? Probably not that many.
So my website is more of a way I can send customers to in order to browse my inventory and the details and the dimensions and imperfections and watch the video tour of the couch. And that's something the VA does, is constantly keeps that website updated. And that's what we use that for. I don't necessarily get sales from there. I get sales from Facebook group and marketplace and Craigslist and OfferUp sometimes. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think you said it right. You don't get sales from there. What's your website built on?
Squarespace.
Okay. So having a website and like, so like going from 0 to 100, as you like grow your business, there are things that you inevitably need to do in order to be able to grow. And one of those things is having a website. So it's not bad that you have a website, but what I'm saying is let's acknowledge the fact that today, this is not the thing that drives performance for your business. So what we need to do is figure out what makes us money and then spend 80 to 90% of our time and energy making money, and then 10-20% of our energy planning for the future. So as you grow, you're going to need a website. You're going to need probably a bigger space. If you're not already in like a warehouse or showroom kind of deal, like eventually you're going to need a bigger space, like more lease, with a higher rent payment. You're going to need different sources of inventory. You're not going to be able to scale exclusively on Facebook. You're going to need to be able to get liquidations or new in-box product. And so that's the stuff that gets you ahead in the future. But if you want to get to the future, you need a strong foundation. You need a strong foundation today. And what does a strong foundation look like? 20 flips a month. If you're able to do $15,000 gross a month, and let's say you spend $5,000 on inventory and various expenses, now you're making $10,000 net profit. The thing that helps you actually upgrade your business is that cash. Because you need a certain amount to pay your living expenses, and then whatever you have left over, you can save and retain in your business. And this is what helps you make investments from a place that's comfortable. So I think, yeah, so that's my initial assessment here. So what are the things that make you money today, right? Getting to good deals, like deal selection is important. If you're only doing 15, 20 flips a month, you want to get to the best deals. Minimum, you want to be doing $300 profit per flip, like net profit per flip would be nice.
Yeah.
Your average gross, your gross profit per flip numbers are pretty good, but once you factor in your expenses, like it goes way down. Your turnover time is a little bit high. So what that indicates to me is that you're taking too long to get inventory processed and ready for sale. So like on average, after you buy a couch, how long before it ends up on marketplace? No, you tell me, like, I don't know, right?
Honestly, it depends on what work needs to be done to the couch. But I have here, once I started tracking on Ivy Flip, I no longer track this, but I think where is it? Oh no, it's on a different spreadsheet. Hold on. But I tracked my average pickup to post like amount of days, and the moment it is sitting at 7.2 days on average is how long it takes me to process the couch and upload it, which tells you a lot.
Yeah, that's what you need to work on. So what I tell people is if your turnover time is 7 days, like 1 week, you're good. You're great.
Okay.
2 weeks is good. 3 weeks is okay. 4 weeks is bad.
Yeah.
So but basically you should be goaling on getting things flipped in a week.
Yeah.
Because the more things sit in inventory, you're like, that's dead time. Like couches aren't moving. You're paying for that space. You're paying for storage. And then as things accumulate in your warehouse and you have less space, there's less room to move around. You probably get some anxiety out of that as well. Like, fuck, I have a lot of couches to process. So that's one very clear area where you could focus, which is how do you streamline your operations such that things are only sitting like a day or two max before they end up on marketplace. And so, really think carefully about what you need to do to get that to happen. And it might help to start with a clean slate. So like stop pickups and like just take the next day or two or 3 days and get everything processed and listed. And then from there, start doing your pickups again. And as soon as you get that picked up, figure out what you need to do to get that listed within a day or two. And then just have that be your standard, right? Within a day or two of picking up something, it gets listed on Facebook Marketplace. And you may need to, bring in some help at that point, or you need to rethink like how you're prioritizing your day. Like, for example, if you're doing a drop group, what's common is you're releasing couches like once a week or twice a week.
Yeah.
But like when people do that, what they also do is they do all their pickups and deliveries in like 3 days of the week. So maybe like Monday through Wednesday, they do all their pickups. And then Thursday, Friday, they're doing all their processing, taking photos, cleaning, and then they launch on Friday and then they deliver through the weekend. So that's what I see with the drop groups. They do more of a daily thing, but it's not like you don't necessarily have to do that either, right? Like the results that you're getting right now, you don't necessarily need a drop group to do.
Mm-hmm.
You could get the same results, like 15, 20 flips a month just by like being consistent with the flipping.
Yeah. I'm set up where I drop couches every Wednesday and Saturday in the group. And what I found with that schedule is that it forces me to prepare drops on Wednesdays and Saturdays. So it really, helps me to process the couches and get them out so that I have drops to post for my members in the group.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas before, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it in a few days.
Mm-hmm.
Now I actually have to because I told everyone that I'm dropping on Wednesday and I need to get them processed. So that's what.
So one thing I would question is like, how many of your sales are actually coming from this drop group versus just people messaging you on Facebook?
I'd say it's a 60 from Marketplace and a 40 from my drop group.
And how much energy goes into the group versus marketplace?
In terms of what energy though, like
how much time you're spending on like getting ready, like how much your business is still majority from Facebook, but do you spend most of your like energy for sales and marketing on the group or just focusing on Facebook?
on the group.
On the group. So once again, evaluating what's actually making me money,
Right.
and therefore what deserves the majority of my attention.
Yeah.
So I have to run, but here's my recommendation is how many couches do you have listed on Marketplace right now, and how many do you have in inventory?
Like including the couches that still need to be cleaned and listed.
Yeah, exactly. How much do you have total versus what's already ready for sale and like listed?
Well, I have like 4 or 5 that still need to be processed and cleaned, and then I have 20 currently available and listed.
So yeah, actually more available for sale than I thought you would. In which case, maybe there's an issue with your listings. So that's another thing that I think we should take a look at together is like what listings you're putting together. So yeah, so I think this is one of the things you need to figure out, which is like operationally, how do you get everything you have available, like everything you've picked up ready for sale a little bit faster? And one of the metrics that we're going to focus on is reducing turnover time. I think there's a way to do that just by taking a closer look at your listings and what you're doing there. So I think that's probably the subject of our next call together. And you should book a time with me next week and let's go over that. And we'll just kind of pour through your listings and see like if there's anything better you could be doing there. But for right now, you don't need to make any dramatic changes. I would just say, just know like as we work together, we're going to focus at first on turnover rate. We're going to look at the selection of inventory that's coming into your business. So what are you buying and how much you're buying it for? What's your pricing like? And then next week, let's look at your listings and see if there's any improvements that we could make there. So I've just really quickly looking at your business, there are a couple things that jump out at me, but I don't think you don't need to do anything dramatic. Maybe cut down on some of your expenses if they're not absolutely necessary, because that's money that can go back into the business in other ways.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I got to run, Billy, but grab another time with me next week and let's look at your listings together, okay?
Perfect. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thanks. Bye-bye.